And Julian Sayin is not going to be relied upon immediately here with Jalen Milroe returning, but when he is asked to be in charge of this Crimson Tide offense, what can he be?
I think he's a high floor quarterback prospect in this group. When we go through all the signal callers, we got 14 of them in the top 247. I feel the best maybe about him hitting in college in terms of I know what I'm going to get, and that's a guy that can win games on Saturdays. I think you can kind of cater the offense around him. He can put the playmakers on the pedestal, and Alabama obviously has some of them committed up to number 2 in the rankings. It's a really interesting group. I mean, 10 kids from the state of Alabama. They got a linebacker from Germany. They got a defensive lineman from Canada. This just is a unique blend and mix for Nick Saban. And my favorite part of the group is the defensive back, Saban Brown out of Mater Dei Academy. I've been saying it, I think 12 months now, that I think he's one of the top cornerbacks in this. Technically sound, he's super buttoned up. I think that guy might be ready to go. Maybe year 1, year 2. He's at least going to play one season with Caleb Downs, who we loved. And then you've got Jalen Mbakwe, who has been a fascinating study right there in the Yellowhammer State, led Clay Chalkville to his 6A state title, playing nothing but quarterback. Alabama wants him on defense. I see him as a slot inside corner, combination of size and ability to run, move his hips. I like the defense. And then you just think about Nick Saban working with Saban Brown, working with Jalen Mbakwe. We saw what he did with Caleb Downs. That secondary is going to be something that is going to make it really hard for opposing offenses in the SEC.
One thing that stands out to me about Saban Brown playing at Mater Dei Catholic there in Southern California is that he's a player that has a lot of talent around him, so opposing offenses can't stay away from his side of the field, and he's been seasoned. He's been able to play and make an impact, and I think he's ready-made. I think he's going to be a guy that can go to Tuscaloosa and maybe see the field early, and that's something that's very rare. Caleb Downs was really good as a freshman this past year, able to accomplish that. I think Saban Brown can be that guy this year.
Let's now go to Tuscaloosa and check in with Brett Greenberg of Bama 24/7 for a complete rundown of this class.
Yeah, a couple of these biggest storylines in this 2024 class is getting so many guys on campus early to, participate in Rose Bowl practice. Some of the guys are Julian Sayin, Jalen Mbakwe, to get them in on campus early at learning under coaching staffs and getting in that playbook is a big deal. And the biggest storyline, I think, is the addition of Ryan Williams. He announced about a week and a half ago he'll be reclassing, was the number 1 wide receiver in 2025. He'll join Alabama in the summer. He won't sign until February, probably take a couple official visits in between then. But adding him, I think, is a big deal. And a couple guys Alabama fans and coaching staff, I think, really like and are going to like a lot more is Casey Poe, Jameer Grimsley, Saban Brown. Those are 3 guys I think Alabama fans are really going to like and have an opportunity to start early. Certainly Casey Poe, with the uncertainty at the center position with Seth McLaughlin, I think can come in and maybe make an impact pretty early.
You heard Brett mention Ryan Williams. That's a guy that Alabama fans are going to have to sweat out until February to see if he ends up signing. But as a reclassification, he's young, 16 years old.
16 years old.
But what kind of wide receiver can he develop into?
Well, Cooper Patagna said it. You see Calvin Ridley as the comp up there. We kind of think he moves like Devontae Smith in terms of the frame and just those dynamic movement patterns. A guy that can get it done in the return game as well. Alabama, I think they need a little bit of Ryan Williams. Isaiah Bond, he made some big plays for the Crimson Tide there in 2023, but this is a kid that can potentially be a high-volume target in the offense. He can be the focal point. We just talked about Julian Sayin putting his elevated in the playmakers, putting them in position to make plays. I could see the Sayin to Ryan Williams connection happening.
When you mention high-volume players that can be productive, I look at Caleb Odom, the number 5 rated tight end in this class that really was super productive as a senior this past season. Over 1,800 receiving yards, 25 across his 2 varsity seasons, heading into that commitment to Alabama. And the depth chart lines up very favorably for him at the tight end position. That's been one of those spots that in the SEC, and particularly if you're ready physically, you have the mobility, the flexibility, the awareness to run routes the right way, which Caleb Odom does, I think has a chance to go in there and be a guy.
So when I see Caleb Odom on the commit list, to me, it seems like Nick Saban is changing his philosophy on offense a little bit, because Caleb Oldham is not your inline tight end. He has hardly blocked. He is not a guy, I mean, I would call him an entry-level blocker at best. Now, he is someone that had college basketball offers. He could have played hoops at the next level, but he's a big perimeter target. Tommy Reese, the offensive coordinator there, it just seems like they're trying to do things a little bit different. We saw it with Amari Niblack, redshirt freshman tight end. He came up big at different times for Alabama in 2023. I think it's going to allow them to get creative with the personnel. Caleb Odom, but he can go up and get it. There's a clip where he just plucks it right over a guy's head.
Is he more O.J. Howard than maybe some of those inline guys that you mentioned?
I would think so. Big target. I mean, Julian Sayin just has to throw it in the area code.
I want to give a big shout out real quick to our friends at Huddle. They have been fantastic partners in getting us some of the most up-to-date tape of some of these players, so we can make sure that you're seeing the development of these guys, not pulling tape from when they were freshmen, but some of the recent stuff. So thank you to Huddle for that. A player that I'm really excited about, Justin Okoronkwo from Germany. You actually taking one for the team, going across the pond to check him out in person. What did you see from him?
I did. PPI recruits, they had a national combine in Frankfurt, Germany. Flew out there about a month ago. It was cold, but I got to see a lot of different talent. And Justin is such a unique kid. Grew up playing soccer on the he was a goalie on the soccer pitch. He did gymnastics, finally found the game of football, American football, because there's a lot of kids that, will use the other football there. He's an elite tester, and he has come over to the United States multiple times, and 4.5 in the 40-yard dash, broad jump over 120 inches. This is a guy that's still trying to learn the football, but from an athletic standpoint, it's rare. It's freaky rare. That's why I had him on my freaks list. Alabama. He was originally committed to Maryland, camped at Alabama. They decided to make a move on him. I believe Nick Saban's actually was going to fly out there for an in-home visit. He was going to have to go a little international. But Justin's a guy we're also going to get in the All-American Bowl. For him, with these international prospects, you talk to college coaches, more and more guys, or more and more schools, I should say, are open to the idea of going across the pond. And really, it's because Nick Saban was like, all right, I'm going to do it. Now everyone else wants to see if they can do it. And for me, just talking with college coaches, the biggest thing is they didn't grow up watching football, so the instincts aren't all there right now. Justin, the fact that he's going to enroll early, get a chance to learn from elite college coaches, we'll see, because he could hit big.
I got to throw up a tag flag again. You call it soccer. It's football in Europe, Andrew. You know that. You've been. You mentioned it. You touched on it. I think when Alabama is going to Europe to try to recruit players, I think it's real. It's tangible. We've arrived in this international game. We've seen NFL games being played in Europe a few times a season. There's going to be a game in Brazil, right? There's been games in Mexico City. This is a sport now that has captivated the whole world, and it's translated into recruiting as well. When Nick Saban has to pack a couple scarves to get out to Germany, we've arrived.
Yeah, thank you for taking one for the team. I know it was cold, I know it was far, but we do appreciate the analysis, and I'm sure Nick Saban loves to hear about how great the guy is that he is bringing in at the linebacker position. Elsewhere on the defense, Saban Brown, a player that I know that you've both talked about extensively, but a question that you were asking, Andrew, was can he make an impact similar to that of Caleb Downs? That is some high praise considering what the true freshman was able to do in his first season in Tuscaloosa. What has you asking that question when it comes to Saban Brown?
Well, Kool-Aid's out, right? He's going to the NFL, so someone's got to step in at quarterback. I know Terrion Arnold's still there. Saban Brown has played his best football in the final 3 games of his high school career. He's in a unique situation because he's at Mater Dei, which is loaded across the board on defense. So they actually have to throw the football at him. 3 interceptions, had a pick 6 in the playoffs, got his hand out on a few passes. To me, it's the footwork and how he moves. He might not be a sub-11 guy in the 100-meter dash, which is a key metric. Everyone wants to bring it up. Saban Brown's an 11.13 guy. It doesn't matter to me because I don't think many people are going to get behind him because he's so buttoned up. He can maintain phase. I think he's one of the best cover corners out there in this class. So smooth and buttoned up.
Really smart, situational awareness, knows the down and distance, knows where receivers might be trying to expose him if the ball is going to come his way. I think that's stuff that he doesn't have to work on when he gets to college. It's already been ingrained in him there at Mater Dei, one of the best cover corners in the country, but also physically able to match up with some of those bigger receivers. I think he's ready-made. He's going to be a guy. I'm convinced we're going to be talking about him next year on signing day, comparing someone to Saban Brown.